it's an NFL Friday, and did you know that the house pick, which means bet the house, just bet everything you got on our pick, is 5-0 this year? That's right, I said it, 5-0. We're going to talk some football, including, Bryce Young has got a little problem, but I believe Frank Reich, the coach, has an even bigger problem. We're going to talk about that, break down all the NFL. Hey, Don't At Me starts right now. You know, it's Friday, it's football season. We got the college foots, we got the NFL foots last night, the Chiefs. Hey, I don't know if it was a good game or not, and I'm glad Al Michaels said, hey, look, enough with every single second showing Britney Spears or Taylor Swift or whatever the hell her name is. And, well, they did, but they didn't. And I also got to say something about this, and I'm going to get into this with Jason Ellenhammer coming up. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are actually really good, or is it just Kelsey and Mahomes? I'm sitting there watching going, how do you leave Kelsey so open so often? And the other question that's being bantied around is, was Russell Wilson ever any good? Like, was he ever any good, or did he just get carried by an organization in Seattle? I think he was good, but I'm not so sure. All right, let's go to Frank Reich. We got a situation developing in Carolina. Now, Frank Reich did not take over a 2-14 team. He did not. He took over a team that under Steve Wilkes almost made a run to get into the playoffs, ended up 7-9. I mean, this was not a decimated ball club in Carolina, and they had the number one pick, and the number one pick, everybody said, was Bryce Young. Well, Bryce Young is really struggling, and here's the situation. Bryce Young is always going to be compared to Anthony Richardson. He is, say whatever you'd like, and C.J. Stroud. It's like Tom Brady is always going to be compared to Robert Kraft. Well, this is where I tell you Frank Reich couldn't coach. He's not a quarterback whisperer, as is promoted because of his pedigree. Backup quarterback. Quarterbacks coach a couple different places. De facto offensive coordinator that got fired in San Diego and was not allowed to call plays in Philadelphia. But somehow the media made this man into what? A quarterback whisperer. All right, you saw the headline right there. They're having to dumb down the play calling, the view, the looks, the checkdowns, the system for Bryce Young. Well, we're 5-6 games in. See, here's what coaching is. If he knew what he was doing, Frank Reich and his staff, would have dumbed this down from the beginning. They would have evaluated what Bryce Young could handle and what Bryce Young couldn't handle within training camp. And they would have come out of camp with an understanding of who Bryce Young really is. But they didn't do that, apparently. They were going to do what a lot of coaches do, which is put in my system. It's my system. This works. Okay, yeah, yay, rah, go fight, win. But every player and every team is organic. You've got to figure out the individual, particularly in a spot as important as quarterback. And then you've got to give in to what he does the best and put him in those situations. You can't blindly close your eyes and say, this is my system, I know it works. No. So here's what Ian Rappaport had to say. When you look at some of the other rookies, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, they get to the line, they snap the ball, they run the play. All right. With Bryce Young, it's like everything else. It's protection, it's adjustments, it's a lot. It does seem like it's been too much. All right, let me go this route for you, okay? Let me just take that at face value. What they're basically saying is, even though, now remember, let's put it all together, even though Bryce Young scored a 98 on the Wonderlic test, which everybody said mattered, he can't comprehend a Frank Reich offense, even though he was the smartest guy. C.J. Stroud scored 18. I think Richardson was in the 70s. He has to now have it dumbed down. Well, that can be a Bryce Young problem, but it's mostly a coaching problem. You got to figure this stuff out. You just do, and that's what training camp is for. All right, it continues. When you're not able to understand what's in front of you, when you are unsure, it makes you play slower and look slower. You've seen some of the other rookies go out and really look like they're thriving immediately. Now, they've pulled back a lot. It is time for Young to really play and begin the process to show why they had drafted him. That's Rappaport as well. Now, I don't know what Rappaport knows or doesn't know, and I assume this isn't his opinion, because what the hell has Ian Rappaport done in terms of playing, coaching football? So I'm assuming he's getting this from a number of people. I'm assuming this isn't his own thoughts. And this is also an indictment of Young. Is he studying enough? Is he preparing hard enough? Does he know how to prepare enough? You know, it isn't always about, well, get in your playbook and read it. It's, do you know what you're reading? Do you understand for a particular game, it may be different than yesterday's game? Lou Holtz famously said this about teams, but it can apply to players, it can apply to seasons. The team you had yesterday is not the team you have today, and it won't be the team you have tomorrow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is true of everything. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, Bryce Young puts everything into game A. That's fine. Well, game B is going to be different. Game C is going to be different from both A and B. So it's a continual, continuing process of learning and understanding. Now, those are all questions that are legit. What did he learn in college? Did he learn anything? Did he learn protections? What's his offensive line like? I will tell you this, Anthony Richardson is fortunate. Anthony Richardson here in Indianapolis has an offensive line that has been together. And by all accounts, the center, Ryan Kelly, being back, has made a world of difference, because Ryan Kelly's been in the league 6, 7, 8 years. He is the veteran, and he's the center, so he touches the football. He calls out protections, and that can only help a rookie quarterback. But let's make no mistake, it's not like Anthony Richardson's tearing up the world. I mean, he keeps getting hurt. He's about 60% completions. Now, Stroud is. And Stroud has the same thing. Look, he's got an offensive line that understands what time it is. He gets rid of the football quickly. He's got pretty fast wide receivers. Let me ask you this. You're bringing in a quarterback. You're bringing in Bryce Young. And you know what you do? You get rid of DJ Moore, who, when I watch DJ Moore play with the Bears, looks pretty damn good. That's bad business. You got to help the young quarterback. You've got to assist the young quarterback in every shape and form. You just do. So as we move into an NFL weekend, a college football weekend, check it out. See what time it is. See what happens with Bryce Young. See if he's really thinking, if you get the games, if you even care, or is this just something made up? Is this just something that the media is saying to give Bryce Young a pass? I'm just telling you, one of the things that I'm tired of is giving players a pass. Maybe it's true. Hey, I don't know. Maybe it's true. Maybe, you know what, Bryce Young can't figure it out. Maybe Bryce Young isn't smart enough to figure it out. Maybe the coaches are poor. Maybe they're bad. Maybe they don't understand. I don't know. But right now, it's a mess. And Frank Reich, he got himself a problem. He got himself a big, big problem. All right. A Rhode Island man could face charges in the death of a lifelong New England Patriots fan. Remember, we talked about way back, Dale Mooney's death when he got in a fight. Well, he got attacked, if you want to know the truth. He got attacked in the stadium. He got sucker punched in a stadium, and he was killed. And by all accounts, Dale Mooney was kind of an innocent bystander. He wasn't having no trouble. He wasn't in no space. He wasn't nothing. He was just a fan going to a game. He was a father. Well, next thing you know, this guy, Dale Mooney, ends up dead. Why? Because people have become idiots at football games. For whatever the reason, people buck up, wear their jerseys, and somehow, someway get mad at the other team. Like a guy's wearing a Kansas City jersey and I'm a Denver fan, the guy's a Kansas City Chief fan. Why the hell do I got to get involved with stupid stuff? Why the hell do I got to be fighting? You tell me. I don't know. All of a sudden you got to fight. And let me ask you a question. What the hell comes from these fights? Can anybody tell me? I mean, what? Okay, I won. All right, you lost. Oh, okay. What do you do when you go home? Like, what do you do when you go home and you're sitting there and you realize you just got in a fight and you just beat up a guy and he might die? What's your move? I mean, are you just simply some guy that, well, screw him, man, he deserved it? Really? I mean, there's a lot of you out there. There's a lot of you guys out there that have no remorse. Now, I don't want anybody to have the kind of Catholic guilt that I have, where every single statement or every single thing that I say, if it's bad, I got to wake up at 2 a.m. and think about, because it'll drive you bat blank crazy. It will. It'll drive you nuts. But I got to tell you, at some point, don't you have to have some guilt? Don't you have to look at the world and go, wait a second. That ain't right. Wait a second. I don't think that what I did there, I got to make amends. So Dale Mooney, he goes, he gets in the 300 section, he gets punched, and next thing you know, assault charges are going to be filed against 3 men. Let me read this to you. According to police, complaints allege assault and battery, disorderly conduct against 3 Rhode Island men. Dale Mooney died. Now, apparently, he died from some kind of seizure. Now, I don't know. The names haven't been released. But the results did not suggest traumatic injury, but a medical issue. And that's the thing. So next time you want to fight, think about this. Think about, hey, look, let's say I punch this guy and he has a heart attack. Is it really worth going to jail for the rest of your life, or 2 years, 5 years, 100 years, 10 years, 20 years, a day? You go to a football game, you get all excited, you're going to wear your jersey, you're going to have some beers, hey, do you really go to a football game to get all excited, to have some beers and beat somebody's ass? Is that what you do? If you do, let me know, because I don't want to go to the football game. I'm too old for that nonsense. I'm too old for that type of stupid. I had one guy look up and say he was going to beat the white off me. He literally was about 6 feet tall, weighed about 8 pounds, had no teeth, and looked like he had just methed himself all game. And I just looked at him, I said, sit your ass down. And he sat his ass down. But why? Why? Why are we fighting at games? What are we doing? Now, here's the other part of it, and the same thing in a bar fight. A friend of mine got in a bar fight. Friend of mine was over on the other side of the bar. On this side of the bar, one of his buddies punched another guy, busted up his face. The guy who did the punching, just a bar fight, is currently serving 3 years in prison. 3 years. Back in the day, there used to be a bar fight. Back in the day, guys would square off, maybe go outside. This ain't that day. So as a public service announcement to you, don't put yourself in the position of these 3 Rhode Island guys that are now sitting at home wondering, am I going to be charged with assault and battery? Am I going to be charged with murder? How long am I going to jail? I better get a lawyer. What's my lawyer telling me? Do I have to plea it out? Is there video? Do I lie? Well, if I do lie, then guess what? There might be video. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, relax on all that crazy stuff. Relax on all of it. There's no need for it. Don't do it. Or else you're going to end up with some sleepless nights. Now, I know it's hard. Let me back up. Guy challenges you. You look at him and you're going to be like, man, I wimped out. My buddies are going to tell me I wimped out. Well, only you know if you really wimped out. And if you did, so what? Beats the hell out of jail. Beats the hell out of 2 guys looking at you, say, hey, I want you to join our gang. Hey, I want you to join our game. Then they bust out your teeth and use your mouth as of a JJ. That's true story. I keep hearing about that, and it drives me nuts. If you ever don't want to drink and drive or act like a fool, just think about having your teeth busted out and your mouth used as of a JJ in prison. Now, I know that's graphic, but there used to be a show called Scared Straight, where prisoners got in front of kids, and they told them the way it really was. Consider this Danny D's Scared Straight. If you're thinking about doing something stupid, if you're thinking about doing some coke and getting in the car, having 72 beers and driving, remember, that results in jail time. You're going to have to do a day or two, minimum. You don't want somebody busting out your teeth in that day or two and sodomizing your face. It's good advice. I mean, I think maybe it's not good advice, but I feel like it's good advice. I feel like it's great advice. And always take Double D's advice, because my advice is good advice. Now, hey, think about that tonight. It's Friday night. You're going to get your shake on. You know what? Joey Bag of Donuts comes over, puts out his hand. He wants to dance with your dates. And you're like, hey, man, you ain't dancing with my dates. Well, guess what? Joey Bag of Donuts says, yeah, I am. Well, also, guess what? Don't fight. Cardinals employees have accused Michael Bidwill, who is the owner, of creating a toxic culture of fear. Now, I saw this and I started laughing. Bidwill is described as a micromanager who yelled at employees over seemingly minor transgressions, creating a culture where workers felt like they were walking on eggshells. Hey, welcome to the world of working for Bobby Knight, Mike Krzyzewski. Welcome to the world of college basketball, working for me. Hell yeah, fear's a great motivator. Who says it ain't? You say it ain't, but now in this world you can't do it. In this world you got to be nice. In this world, you got to be kind. You're yelling at me. You're yelling. You're making me feel bad. Shut up. We're walking on eggshells. Well, you should be. Your organization stinks. The guy's put a lot of money into it. He's probably paying you a lot of money. Get off your phone, get off your ass, get off of Tinder, and go to work. I got no sympathy for this kind of stuff. You would think, being an entertainment sports team, that it would be fun, a fun place to work. Hell no, it's a business. I got no sympathy for this. You go, Michael Bidwill. Hell yeah, I got zero. Sympathy is between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. You would think it'd be fun. Oh my God, we're just going to be here and we're going to have fun. Our organization doesn't win. Our quarterback stinks. Bidwill wants to win. Bidwill's demanding. Bidwill gets after it. Bidwill reportedly involved himself in minor day-to-day tasks, expressing frustration over the area code of an employee's cell phone number and yelling at an employee who turned off the office fluorescent lighting in favor of softer lighting. Good for him. Why do we need softer lighting? You know what softer lighting does? Puts people to sleep. You got to have music going. Why do you think there's bright lights in casinos? Why do you think there's air pumped into casinos? Why do you think? These employees are worried about what the lighting is. These employees are worried about whether or not there is bright lights or soft lights in the freaking office. Let me tell you a story about Bill Polian. So Bill Polian's a general manager of the Indianapolis Colts. Mike Fox is running the Hoosier Dome. Mike Fox was my college roommate. Mike Fox ran the Hoosier Dome for, 30 years, whatever. And then he ran this place, Lucas Oil, until he retired. So Foxy, after a game, I believe the Colts lost, gets confronted by Bill Polian, who physically grabs Fox and says, what the hell? Why wasn't the locker room heat turned up? Why did you let the locker room stay at the normal temperature? We need every advantage we can get. And Fox is a great dude. Things roll off, and he's like, hey, Mr. Polian, I don't know. I didn't think to change the temperature. You got to change the temperature. I have absolutely no tolerance, zero zip, for these employees of the Arizona Cardinals. And I would ask the YouTube chat, do you have at all, do you have any tolerance for employees that are worried about, I thought it'd be a fun place to work. Oh my God, I thought it would be fun. No. Who's your daddy? We need lighting like in the movie Joe and the Volcano. That's the kind of lighting we need. And let me tell you something else. In the modern world, owners can't win. Oh, they just can't win. I mean, if an owner is standoffish, he's a bad guy. If an owner is like that Dave Tepper of Carolina, then you got to answer, if you're Frank Reich, about your owner being too involved. So here's an owner that's involved in everything, and maybe, just maybe, now I'm not saying this is a fact, all right? I'm not saying this is a fact, but I'm just asking a question. Maybe this man running a billion-dollar company, being a micromanager, being a guy that gets into the details of his billion-dollar company, might actually know what he's doing and help continue making it a billion-dollar company over some slap-blank employee that's worried about being in a fun place because it's entertainment. I mean, just maybe I'm wrong. I could be. I'm sure I am. Maybe I'm wrong. But at least it begs a question. See, if you're not involved, then people say, well, we don't even know who the owner is. Our owner doesn't care. And then if you're involved at all, people are bitching about the fluorescent lighting. People are complaining that, well, I don't like it. It's too bright. And then people are making excuses here. People are making excuses. Well, you know, fluorescent lighting can give migraines to some people. Then get out. Then go work somewhere else. The last thing I need in my office building, is soft lighting, soft music. Hell, employees don't want to work anyway. Employees are hard to find. Employees, it's not like guys are busting their ass. Here's 90% of employees. A what? What did you say? I'm sorry. I was worrying about the tofu we're going to have tonight. Now what? Kyler Murray? Now who's Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray is our quarterback. I mean, how many baskets did we make yesterday? You know, that's the world we live in. I don't give a rat's ass if the employees of the Arizona Cardinals are sad. Like Candace Owens said, get a helmet. Life is tough. If you're sad about it, as Matt Gates said, if you're offended, be offended. I got nothing for you. I got nothing. Let's see what else. As I have said personally to every member of the Cardinals organization, I certainly have room to grow. With the benefit of hindsight, would have done some things differently over the years. I also know that my direct approach doesn't always land well, and I'm working on that. No. Michael Bidwill, no. N-O, no. Never apologize to these people, because these people are never going to accept your apology. Never, ever apologize, ever, under no circumstances, to these people. You own, you do, you run it the way you want to run it. And if the people aren't living up to what it is that you want, I got two words for you, Joe Biden style. Fire they ass. Period. And find some people that want to work toward your level. Hey, another year, another college player, another college quarterback, and listen to this. Former NFL quarterback Jordan Rodgers, Aaron's brother, former bachelor, believes, here we go, Caleb Williams will be the best prepared signal caller to ever enter the NFL draft. Elway, most prepared. His daddy was a coach. Manning, the most prepared. Football family. Luck, most prepared. Football daddy. Daddy was a coach. Daddy was a player. Daddy backed up Peyton Manning or Archie Manning. Yeah, his daddy did. And now the next one. Caleb Williams is the most prepared. I said it then, and I've never said it about anybody else. Jordan, what's-his-face, said. Jordan Rodgers said. He's the most prepared. Caleb Williams will be the most prepared. Jordan Palmer, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I thought it was Rodgers. Never mind. I said it then, and I've said it before. I've never said it about anybody else. It's the best kid I've ever seen. I know when I say those things out loud, it can carry some weight. So I don't throw that around a lot. Oh, this is Carson Palmer's brother. I'm not the overhype. Well, yeah, you are. Ever. Best kid I've ever seen. Now, you got to understand something about Jordan Palmer and this whole world. If you read my friend Teddy Greenstein's book about quarterback dads, you'll know that Caleb Williams' dad is really involved. And Caleb Williams is the hot property right now. He's the hot guy. And which makes Caleb Williams' daddy the hot guy, right? So, you got to appease daddy. If you want more clients, then you got to appease daddy. So guess what? Jordan Palmer is appeasing Daddy Williams, which will make more guys come to Jordan Palmer, which will make Jordan Palmer make more money, which will put Jordan Palmer as the new Tom House. If you don't know who Tom House is, Tom House, former baseball player that became an expert on throwing, and that included quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks. So there you go. So that's what this is about. I don't know whether Caleb Williams is the next greatest to ever done it, but I do know this. In my lifetime, I've seen a lot of the greatest evers. John Elway, the greatest ever. Oh, was John Elway the greatest ever? We had a little bit of a lull, I think, or I can't remember anybody who else was going to be the greatest ever between like 1980 and whenever Manning came out. But then Manning came, and he's the greatest ever. Oh, okay. And then Luck came out, and he's the greatest ever. I'll give guys credit this past year. I didn't see anybody, nobody, saying that Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young or the other guy, C.J. Stroud, was the greatest ever. We got a break from the greatest ever. But now we got the greatest ever coming. And you're going to see more and more and more of it. Because the little daddies, the daddies of the, and I'm glad that guys have dads. Look, not having dads is the number one problem in our society today. So I don't begrudge anybody for having a dad. I think it's great you got a dad. Doesn't mean I can't make fun of you. Doesn't mean I can't make fun of an overindulged dad. I had a guy come at me on Twitter the other day, some racist guy, ESPN on talent. And after going back and forth because I was bored, he finally said, well, you and your kind don't be coming at me when you want to interview my son. His son's like 7. He's already going to be one of the greats. Dads are ridiculous. I got straightened out on the whole talking about your kid thing one time. I had a birth of my son Andrew. I was a young coach with a bunch of older coaches, Ron Felling, Norm Ellenberger. We go out to lunch, and I'm talking about Andrew. And Felling looks at me, and he goes, hey, Dan, we've all had kids. I looked around, said, yeah, I get the point. Never again, and I don't. I never talk about my kids unless I'm making fun of them or somebody asks me. Period. That's it. I never do. I got friends that do. I got friends that we got to tiptoe around. But never, ever, ever do I talk about my kids. Hey, did you see what? No, never. Not one time ever. Will I do that? Ever. Never, ever. And I'm very proud of my children, but that's my pride. Doesn't have to be yours. All right, it's hammer time. Hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger goes after Democrats. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, it is hammer time. And when we get with Hammer, it's explosive. If you don't know who Jason Ellen Hammer is, you will. Number one afternoon news talk show on WIBC. Be ready. We got some bets coming. Get your pen. Get your paper. It's Hammer time next.
Are you looking for the hottest sportsbook offers? At OutKick, find exclusive promos, expert picks, and the latest odds. Get in the game at OutKick.com/bet.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
We live in a land of participation trophies.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the number one overall pick.
Is it fair for people to be upset with Barbie?
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. What have you seen firsthand of how this has affected you in the plant and your fellow employees? Under Joe Biden, the Taliban has retaken Afghanistan. Putin has invaded Ukraine. So if there was ever a time for freaking aliens to inhabit and conquer Earth, now would be that time.
Man, the level of stupid that sometimes gets on our YouTube chat just gives me a headache. You're born a male, play with males. You're born a female, play with females. Don't at me about it. The American people are being cheated. We, ladies and gentlemen, are being cheated.
There's no doubt in my mind he could have caught the ball in his back pocket if he'd been running. Blowing a lead and losing a game is 100 times more lasting and painful in some clubhouses than losing the game 15-0.
And we were able to see you guys on the ground with your signs supporting. That was huge.
They were saying, oh, it's only one or two. That's rubbish, and we all know that's rubbish. Once those trans-identifying males were able to succeed, it just encouraged others.
Welcome back. We're waiting on Hammer time. Yo, Hammer, where the hell are you? Chase Claypool, the beleaguered, the ridiculous, the idiotic wide receiver of the Chicago Bears, decided that he's going to weigh in on what went wrong with the Bears. Close your eyes. You know what's coming. You do. You absolutely know what's coming. Listen to Chase Claypool. I think that when you lose a lot of games in a row, there's frustration naturally. I think that's new for everyone. I'm sure that from the top down. So I think just being excited, getting some wins and stuff like that, I think that just comes naturally. And once you start winning, things start getting less frustrating, obviously. Well, it just shows what a little batch he is. It just shows that this little batch couldn't handle any adversity. I mean, this is an uber-talented guy that is going the way of the little batch. The little batch never succeeds. The little batch always makes excuses. The little batch, well, quite frankly, he learns not from his mistakes. He learns from being booted out of the freaking league. I mean, how many times do we have to see it? We've seen it with Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown begging to get back in the league. We saw it with Le'Veon Bell begging to get back in the league. We saw it with Colin Kaepernick begging to get back in the league. That's what these guys do. They act like idiots, and then they beg, literally beg, to get back in the league. That's what they do. I mean, it is just that easy. You don't know what you got until you lose it. You think you're something. You're Le'Veon Bell, or you're Antonio Brown, or you're Chase Claypool, and you think you're something. You get traded. And when you get traded, there's two parts of being traded. One is the disappointment of being traded, and the other is the anticipation that somebody really liked you. One team didn't, one team does. So, my world, I would embrace the team that wants me. All right? That's what I would do. But that's not what everybody does. Everybody acts a fool. Many act a fool, not everybody. Many act a fool. And in acting a fool, then you lose what you had. And oh, by the way, what a great life I had in the NFL. Really? I got private planes? I really only got to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm making more money than I could ever make. But Chase Claypool decided that he couldn't handle any type of adversity. But now he will. Speaking of adversity, Josh Allen not happy. The other day during the game, Stefon Diggs threw down his iPad in a fit of frustration, in a selfish fit of ridiculousness. All right, he looked like a child. He acted like a child because, well, Stefon Diggs is a child. Stefon Diggs has never won anything, but he acted like a child. But good for Josh Allen here. Josh Allen went the route we all know he's going to go. He's a competitor. He's a fiery competitor. I'm tired of hearing this nonsense from people. There's a lot of guys in the league that have that same fire that don't get talked about. He's a lot of our juice on the sidelines, making sure the offense is staying up and as energized as possible, and we feed off of that. Well, okay, that's fine, but do you have to be a child? I mean, seriously. And if you watch the video of him, that's all he was. He was just a child. Things didn't go his way, so he acted a child. And I'm down with that. I got no problem with acting like a child because you are children. Look, as you get older, I tell my kids all the time, I've been 27, you haven't been 60. I kind of know what you're going through, but I'm not sure you know what the deal is. And that, to me, is the way life rolls. That, to me, is the way things should go. It's just the way of the world. And if the sooner you understand that, the better off we are. I think Hammer Time is ready to join us. What? What's going on? Oh, I wasn't supposed to have you on till 9:40. My bad. What am I doing? I'm sorry. I got to read the rundown better because they're giving me an extra 10 minutes to do another topic, and I always forget. How are you, HT?
Man, I'm frazzled. I thought I was late. Now I'm running around. I'm back there on the can. I'm not really finished yet, but I wanted to be on time for you because I thought I may have been wrong.
No, I just looked at it. Totally my fault. I don't know what's wrong with me. Completely and totally my fault. We normally go at 9:30, but we changed it because we had a little formatic change, and I'm stuck in my old ways. Hey, HT,
Dude,
I got a couple of Yeah, it's not good. Hey, let me go a couple places with you before we get into some football. You host the number one show in the nation, Afternoon Drive News Talk. Indianapolis has a lot of Jewish people. We've seen what's going on with Hamas. We've seen what's going on with Israel. What is the reaction?
I think the reaction is pretty much the same as it is all over the country, right? You're going to find the lunatics being the ones that have the loudest voice. But the real reality, and I don't even think it's the silent majority, I think it's the majority, think what's happening in Israel is disgusting. And these Hamas terrorists, and yes, don't be afraid to say the word, they're terrorists, are disgusting. So what we had here yesterday, just outside of our radio station, is the same thing that you've seen in Milwaukee, same thing you've seen in New York and Chicago. You had the loud pro-Palestinian people backed by the local BLM chapter coming out here yelling death to Israel, death to America. Because if you notice closely, you hear those things back to back. It's never just death to Israel. It's death to Israel, death to America. Now, what I didn't expect, though, was a counter protest from the pro-Israelis yesterday. And they were fearless, man. They were out on downtown Indianapolis which for those who don't know, has a higher homicide rate per capita than Chicago. They were here in downtown, fearless, waving their Israeli flags, chanting back, clapping back. Now, there were more of the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas BLM people. They probably had about 250 to maybe 75 to 100 pro-Israelis. But man, I did not expect the kind of bravado that we got from the pro-Israeli protesters yesterday.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you know what? One thing I noticed in looking at the videos, the pro-Palestine people always have masks on. They're chicken shit little people, and the pro-Israel had no masks on. It's like, yeah, we want to protest. We just don't want our bosses to know we're actually protesting, you cowards.
Right. And keep in mind, this was dubbed as it wasn't a protest, it was a day of resistance. That was what it was billed as, what it was marketed as. And today, of course, we've got the Global Day of Jihad, because nothing says we're just peaceful people looking for a solution like calling for a global day of jihad. And oh, by the way, keep this in mind. They're doing this via YouTube and social media. So the leaders of Hamas, the gross terror organization, predominantly using YouTube to spread their message of a global day of jihad. Coach, I'm old enough to remember when if you had a disagreement on COVID, you were kicked off of YouTube. In Florida, there was a roundtable of doctors that just wanted to have an exchange of ideas about the masking, about vaccines, about COVID. Ron DeSantis had set it up. It was kicked off of YouTube. People have been told you cannot be on YouTube if you question the vaccine or COVID. Meanwhile, they're allowing the terrorist organizations to rally the troops for a day of jihad.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, look, we're getting ready to get off YouTube, I think. I mean, it's just so restrictive. I mean, they're doing all kinds of things to us, is what I'm being told. I don't know, to limit our reach here at OutKick, including our show. And I'm kind of proud of that because it means we're pissing people off. Hey, HT, thanks for that update. Let's talk some betting, shall we? My house bet is 5-0 this year, but I want to hear from you. You got anything you're digging this weekend?
So, couple things. I got a little college football, got a little NFL for you. Look, I like Tennessee in this spot against Texas A&M. And look, my wife went to Tennessee. My family grew up watching the games, right? I'm kind of a homer. But the real reality is Texas A&M's coming off of a deflating loss at home against Alabama, a game they put a lot of stock and energy in. Nationally televised audience. It was at home. Crowd was rocking, and a beatable Alabama team, by their standards, still went into their house and beat them. Meanwhile, Tennessee had a bye last week. They could sit back, get healthy, watch the game, watch the tape. And the last time we saw Tennessee was in a revenge spot at home against South Carolina. And finally, Joe Milton got that offense rolling. So coming off a bye, it's going to be in Knoxville. The reward for Texas A&M on a very close, deflating loss is to go into Knoxville, another nationally televised game. They're doing the checkerboard out in the crowd, and it's only a field goal at this point. Give me Tennessee -3. And NFL-wise, I'm going to keep it in the orange family here. I like the Bengals at home, laying 3 against Seattle. Feels like something finally clicked with Cincinnati last weekend. They're too good to play as crappy as they had been playing. And this game's in Cincinnati. It's down in the jungle. Feels like Chase is finally getting his targets. Burrow was stretching out the defense a little bit. I like the Bengals in this spot. Early kickoff, Seattle flying cross country. Give me the Bengals laying 3.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that one even a little bit. You like anything in Oregon, Washington?
Man, that's a good one. Honestly, if I have to bet that one, I would look at Washington. I'm not playing it for the record, but if I had to, I would lean Washington just because they're at home. I think both of these teams are really good. I think Oregon might be a little bit more physical, just a little bit. But, man, Michael Penix, he's a player, fans here in Indiana remember what it was like having Michael Penix under center. That guy is a player. If I'm watching Pac-12 this weekend, the game that nobody really cares about is UCLA and Oregon State. Take a look at the under in that one too. Because in the Pac-12, where everybody wants to score, these are a couple squads that don't have bad defenses. That total seems a little high to me at 54, 54.5. Take a look at the under.
You're the perfect guy to ask this, because I don't know that you're a crazy Notre Dame fan or not, but it feels like, and this is the way Notre Dame is, and people can complain about it, but it feels like after the ass kicking that the second half provided for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, it feels like this is a monster game for Freeman against Southern Cal. Like, you lose at home to USC after the brains getting beat out, after 10 men on the field. I don't know, man. This could spiral a little bit south in a hurry if they don't get this one done.
Like, all the stars are lined up for Notre Dame here, right? You're at home. You've got a pretty good quarterback of your own to counter what could be the back-to-back Heisman Trophy winner. This is a big game for Marcus Freeman. So far, when the lights have been bright on Notre Dame, they have not been able to answer the call. I think you're going to see some points because USC's defense stinks. They have to play arena football to win games. They have to outscore people. But when you've got one of the best players, if not the best player in America, you can do that. Man, it's tough. I'm looking at the over. It's high. It's 60.5, Coach. I know that's a big number for Notre Dame, but I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop anybody in this one. If Notre Dame's offense can move the ball, I think you'll see some points. I don't know if I trust Notre Dame to win it. I don't, because I've always said if all things are equal and the better quarterback is getting points, and I think Notre Dame and USC are actually pretty close, but the better quarterback is getting points, man, you kind of got to take a look at that, don't you?
You've always said that, and I've always kind of stuck with that. I'm not going to bet the game, but I got to tell you, I just think for Marcus Freeman, because that job, Lou Holtz was on my show a couple weeks ago, and I was at a game after they won the national championship in '89, and I was there in like '90 at a game, and they tied Michigan, and people were yelling for him to be fired. Notre Dame's insane with this. And, and if you get 3 losses from jump, I think you got a problem. Look, you staying with the SEC, Hammer, I've been betting the hell out of Alabama. I think people overreacted to that loss to Texas. And I think Alabama, particularly their quarterback, Milroe, I think they found themselves, they got embarrassed, and they're not going to stay embarrassed very long. I ain't mad at Alabama's chances down the stretch here.
I'm not either. And when I look at the SEC, yes, the demise of Alabama was a little premature. If the Milrose kid gets a little better, they're going to still be a major player in this thing. But I look at Georgia, and I've said this in the beginning. Now, they've proven me wrong every week, but this is not the same type of Georgia team that we've seen the last couple of years. I don't think people fear Georgia because I don't think their quarterback's any good. And that defense, sooner or later, is going to have a team that has a good day, or maybe they will have a bad day where that offense is going to have to carry the load against a good team. You look at Georgia's schedule, really the only challenging game they've got on the regular season slate is at Tennessee. Meanwhile, Alabama, they've got a pretty good slate for them, a lot of good home games. They get Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. If this comes down to the SEC championship game and we're looking at, an Alabama-Georgia matchup here, it's hard to say no to Alabama at this point.
All right, I'm going to give you my 2. I love North Carolina -3 against Miami. I'll tell you 2 reasons. One, I love the quarterback, May, at North Carolina. I think he's really good. But the other one is, man, I'm telling you what Mario Cristobal did not taking a knee last week and in Miami lost. I'm telling you, man, that's hard for players. Players don't trust. I'm taking that as my house bet, which means bet the freaking house, and no other bets matter. But I just don't see. I think Carolina's pretty good. I think Miami's pretty good. But I got to tell you, man, as a player, I'm seeing what Cristobal did, and I'm pissed off.
Better quarterback, better coach, and that's a pretty small point spread. I'm in. You want to get nuts, baby? Let's get nuts. I'm in with you. I'm going to ride with you on that, Coach.
I'll tell you the other one that I like. I think Greg Schiano's a good coach. I know that whole thing went south at Tennessee, but Urban told me he's a great coach. It's only 5 at home they're giving Michigan State. I look at Michigan State's interim coach and I see a clown. I look at Michigan State and they're still dealing with residual effects from Mel Tugger. I'm just telling you, I'm taking Rutgers. I've been betting against Michigan State all year, but I'm taking Rutgers and I'm giving the 5. I'm gonna lay a little on that. I'm gonna give it a taste. I'm going house. I'm betting the entire house, not just the garage on UNC. But I'm gonna give a little taste to Rutgers over Michigan State. Yeah,
I like it. We're at that point in the college football season, Coach, where it's not that you love a team. You find teams that stink and you fade the bejesus out of them. Fade Michigan State.
That's exactly right.
Fade Illinois. It's been working so far.
No, I totally agree with that. I do. Hey, last thing before I let you go. We got Indiana people that watch this. Indiana is getting 34. I'm taking Michigan just because. I'm not betting much, but I'm taking Michigan. 52-10 doesn't seem out of the realm to me here.
Yeah, this is a problem, and I don't know if Indiana can score, and this is the problem. Like, to cover this spread, you would need Michigan to do what they do and Indiana not to score. Okay, Michigan's defense is really good. They're playing for style points. I don't want to hear this crap about, well, in the past, Indiana has played Michigan pretty well. They haven't won, but they played pretty well. No, I'm not trying to hear that. You watch this Indiana offense. They stink. They are bottom of the barrel. Like, if you look at the barrel and you look underneath of it, that's where you're going to find the offense for the Indiana Hoosiers right now. And Michigan's defense is for real. That's their bread and butter. And Harbaugh's the type of dude that just wants to beat the brakes off of you. I worry about a backdoor cover, but, man, give me Michigan. I think they lay, and I think they cover.
Yeah, the backdoor cover always in play, you know. They're up 40 and they give up a touchdown. All right. I mean, I can see that happening, but Indiana is so pathetic, so bad. I can't go any other way. HT, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
You got it, my man. Thank you.
You know, the man was just sitting on the can. He was just sitting on the can taking care of business, and I didn't even look at the rundown. I thought it was 9:30. I apologize to HT. It says clearly right here. Just a guy trying to take care of a little morning activity, have a moment to himself, and away we go. Hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not happy. The nanny screwer decided to step out and decided to say, hey, look, you Democrats, you're trying to destroy major cities across the country. I mean, I'll never understand this, and I know there are still people on the YouTube chat that talk about, well, you know. We love that Biden. We love the direction that Biden is taking us. Oh, okay, good for you. I have no time for you. I have no time for that level of stupid. But I got to tell you, Arnold Schwarzenegger, here's what he says. That's what the Democrats would say. We're about ruining the cities. We want to F up every city in America. That seems to be the theme right now. Well, it does seem to be the theme. I mean, think about it. Crime at an all-time high, including, people think in the Midwest, we're all just nice little people. No, in Indy, we're murderous scoundrels. We're killing people like it's our job, left and right. It's what we do, apparently. And the prosecutor, Ryan Meir, he ain't doing nothing about it, and don't even get into Chicago and say, hey, all these cities are a mess. And he ain't wrong. All right, last night was arguably the greatest 30 seconds of football you're ever going to see this entire year. It was West Virginia. Man, West Virginia, Houston, which was interesting because Dale Holgorsen was the head coach at West Virginia. And he's now the head coach at, you guessed it, Houston. So Houston and West Virginia are going back and forth. I mean, back and forth and back and forth. And next thing you know, with about 30 seconds to go, West Virginia scores a touchdown. West Virginia takes it in. There is literally 12 seconds on the clock. However, after the play of the touchdown, Garrett Green, the quarterback of West Virginia, somehow, someway lost his damn mind. And he got a penalty. Well, that penalty resulted in a kickoff from the 20, which gave Houston 15 extra yards. Fast forward. At the buzzer, a Hail Mary in the air. You guessed it. You guessed it. Tip ball, touchdown, Houston. Now, the coach, Neil Brown of West Virginia, had this to say. Celebration penalty after the last touchdown is kind of a microcosm to me of the game. We didn't get that celebration penalty, which is completely asinine for us to take our helmets off. That gave them an opportunity to get into scoring position. And he's right. Look, the one thing you know as a football player, unless you're some dude in the NFL, is you don't take your helmet off. You don't take it off. You don't. 12 seconds left. Green finds a guy named Hudson Clement. Sprints it in for a touchdown. Idiocy reigns. Idiocy. Next thing you know, the ball is where they can get it to the end zone. They got it to the end zone, tipped around. Now let me tell you something. The quarterback that took his helmet off, he not going to feel bad because players never feel bad. Players will blame it on others and their little group around them will help them. The coach, oh, I've been there with bad losses. God, have I been there with bad losses, and it is undescribable. Oh, I'm thinking about it right now. You can't sleep. I got real depression. I had to sleep on the floor because I couldn't get my head off a damn pillow. Oh, my God. Is it horrendous, awful, ridiculous, terrible for Neil Brown and his staff? Oh, man. The player, he'll go to the bar and somebody will tell him how good he is. The coach, he goes straight, the whiskey, the Jameson. You got to go J-Mo after that one. Woo! Hey, make sure that you like and you subscribe here. We need as many likers and subscribers. I'm not going to go into it until at the end of the show, but we're getting a little bit screwed here. And we're trying to unscrew us because of our conservative views on this show. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just telling you, really hot women in really cute poses. That's all you need to know. It's Screencaps with Joe Kinsey next.
Are Border Patrol agents, are they just essentially hand-tied at this point where they're just welcoming people in and there's nothing that they can really do about it?
I think that's right. I think the morale that you see among Border Patrol agents today is probably the lowest that we have ever seen it. Border Patrol has essentially been turned into a migrant processing agency. They're no longer doing that national security mission out on the line, trying to stop bad people and bad individuals coming in. 7 out of every 10 Border Patrol agents are in their centers processing migrants. It's not where they should be. It's not what the American people really pay them for. But again, this is by design. This is what this administration wants them doing, and so they've got a tough job. They're in a no-win situation. But morale, retention, hiring, all of that is suffering under this administration because they're not being allowed to do their job. Law enforcement officers above anything else, and why they really love former President Trump so much is he allowed them to do their job. He told them to go out and catch bad people and bad things, and that's exactly what they did. And now they're having to work and go, about their day with, I would say, one or maybe even both hands tied behind their back.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing just lines of people, and that's another part of this that I find interesting because there's a lot of competing narratives as to what exactly the policies and the process is surrounding this mass asylum seeking. So to my knowledge, if you want to claim asylum, you do it at a port of entry. You don't do it after you're trying to cross the river, or after you're crawling under razor wire and then saying, oh, I'm claiming asylum. So how is that, if that is in fact the case, that you have to present yourself at a port of entry to claim asylum, how are all of these people being given these court dates to claim their asylum and then led into the United States, mass released into our country? How is that even possible? Is it legal? Is it even following, the spirit of asylum seeking at this point?
His name is Joe Kinsey. The show is Screencaps. The article is Screencaps. Many hot women. Look, let's just call it what it is. It's a beautiful site with beautiful people running it and beautiful people in it. Joe, what's going on today? You got the red light. That's the red light district, I'm sure, Amsterdam, where a lot of crazy stuff goes on. Did you steal it from one of the peep shows or what?
Dan, it's NHL season. I have to support the NHL with my goal lamp. It's the perfect basement toy to have. It goes off when your team scores. I don't even have a team, but I love a goal lamp. I set it off all the time. I'll try to set it off now for you, Dan. There it is, Dan. You hear it going off, Dan? Yeah.
I do. Oh, no, it's awesome. No, it's great. I need to get me one of those. me one of those. Hey, Joe, you are the Senior Director of Content. Do we have an open for Joe? I'm going to say this. It's time for Screencaps Recap with Joe Kinsey. It says something about a stinger. I don't know what that means. I don't know. All right. Well, we don't. It says here, roll stinger. Well, that's IU girl. Wait a second. Who is this? Why is she wearing IU? Yeah, that's not my daughter, damn it.
Dan, I did not check to make sure if it was your daughter. I didn't know your daughter went to IU. This is Sarah. I believe she goes by Sarah Burst. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's Sarah, IU Sarah. A reader sent her in. They must know that I've been doing the Dan Dakich show. They know that you're Mr. IU, and they said Sarah would dominate on Friday Screencaps Recaps. So she makes the cut this week. God bless Sarah.
Sarah, look at this. This is kind of weird. This is weird. Happy Daddy's Day. Yeah, she says, your dad gave me this shirt. Okay, Sarah. All right. Yeah, I'm creeped out by that just because my daughter went there. And, if she sees this, I don't want her thinking that her dad is some kind of perv, even though she knows I'm not. But, ladies and gentlemen, Screencaps is awesome. What else we got? Roll tape.
Roll the tape.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, Dan.
Boy.
Emily Elizabeth, one of the favorites at Screencaps. She is a dominant force in the industry. She loves all the tropics. You get the idea. She loves to be in the tropics, in the sun, getting the content. I would consider her a 5-star Instagram talent. She's been around quite a while, but she just keeps reinventing herself. She keeps going to the tropics and keeps dumping out the content. Readers absolutely go nuts for her.
Let me ask you a question. When you say they go to the tropic and they dump out the content, like how much content is this lady doing? Like what is she doing? She's in Bora Bora. What is she just walking around by herself? Do these people have a group photographers? Because I saw a little girl in Naples. She would set a camera and then run to the beach, get in the water, pull off her robe, and start putting her finger in her mouth. That kind of thing. Do these people have an entourage? Is this Taylor Swift, or is this on their own, Joe?
Well, in Emily Elizabeth's case, she travels quite a bit with her boyfriend, fiance, Dan. He serves as the photographer. She poses. It's a 1-2 punch. And a lot of these A-listers, a lot of them have a boyfriend that's a photographer, husband, who does all the camera work. And then Emily Elizabeth, she'll save a couple thousand photos, Dan, and she may dump out like one every other day just to keep the algorithm hot and heavy for her. You can only imagine how many photos she has in the collection. It's in the thousands.
Can you just? Would I describe the boyfriend / husband / whatever as an Instagram pimp?
No, not in this case. He is pretty much a normal guy. He's just
all right.
I don't even know if he has a photographer background, but he's a normal guy.
All right, I didn't know. I feel like if we're calling him Instagram models or Instagram, A-listers, I figure pimp's got to be in there somewhere. But what do I know? Joe, next.
Next.
Is this Joe Biden?
Dunn, Dan. Allie Dunn. She is out of California. I know that you hate California. So she is known for her California roots. She's all a California girl. I'm actually surprised she has not become a bigger star, Dan. She has been at it now for about 5 to 6 years. Like Emily Elizabeth, she knows to dump out the photos here and there, keep the algorithm hot, but she has refused to become like a superstar. So a lot of guys like that she is just doing her thing. I don't even know where she's at now, Mexico or whatever. But, get an ice cream shot, dump it out. It's fall. Keep the guys interested.
She's in Munich. She's in Munich having a gelato. And, I learned about phallic when I was a freshman at Indiana, phallic symbols. And this pose here is a bit phallic. And that sounds right. No, that's right. That's what the English teacher taught me about phallic symbols. So there you go. What do you got next, Joe?
Oh, yeah. Mark Davis. Love Mark Davis. By the way, Dan, he's like us. He loves mowing shoes. He loves basic clothes. He's pretty much us minus the bank account. He is now dating this 26-year-old Hayden Hopkins. They're telling me that she is like in a band. I don't know what's the story, but somebody's telling me she's in a band, and it makes sense. Mark Davis he's not into the ordinary Instagram models. They tend to have a little bit of a crazy background, maybe a little bit nuts. So God bless Mark. He went from this game, Dan, he went right to the airport, to McCarran International, and he was playing slot machines. Slot machines at the airport. Mark Davis, a billionaire, playing slot machines. Crazy guy.
Well, here it is. She's a Cirque du Soleil dancer performing as La Belle in the Treasure Island show since 2017. Now, people are trying to tell me, somebody here said that Davis is 47, but Davis is older than me. He's 68 years old. You know what I think? I think Ms. Thing here, Ms. Hopkins, loves the haircut. I think once Mark Davis got rid of the bowl haircut, I think that's when it took off. That's when this romance took off, and I don't blame her. What 26-year-old doesn't want to be with a guy like Mark Davis?
I mean, she's clearly not with him for his money, Dan. I mean, it's clear she enjoys Mark.
No way. And I got to tell you, and it's not only women, but man, oh man, the whole lips thing. I saw a dude the other day that got his lips done, and God bless you. I mean, hey, look, I'm all for everybody live your best life, people. Go live your best life, damn it. Get your lips done if you need to, but hey, I know she's not in it for the money. She's in it for love. When Mark Davis takes that shirt off and that hairy back gets exposed, she swoons. We know this. We know women would never, ever, ever date someone for money or power. Never. 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 Next.
Okay. Bengals truck in Pennsylvania, I believe it's right. Somebody sent this in, Dan. A lot of readers, they'll find things out in the wild. They'll send them in. This is Bengals fans, they're a lot from northern Kentucky, southwest or southeast Indiana. They're a little bit raw. They're a little bit redneck. You know that. And they like to wrap their cars. They like to wrap. I've seen them wrap a Brinks truck, Dan. I saw a Brinks truck that was branded Houday years ago. They'll do fire trucks. The Bengals fans are right there with Browns fans with where they'll design vehicles just for their football team. That's just how much they love football.
Would you know, let's say that I'm in Indianapolis or I'm in the Chicago area. Would I know that this is a truck that is specific to and rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals, or would I just think this is a truck that kind of looks like a tiger or a Bengal, I guess? I don't know.
I would look at the license plate. Is it a Houday license plate? Any variation of that? Those license plate covers they put on them. I would look for that kind of thing. But if I see this thing rolling around Ohio, I just know he's a Bengals fan. But that was in Pennsylvania. This is taken out east. So I don't know. Maybe it's LSU. Doesn't look like LSU to me though. No, it's not LA, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if I was in Ohio, I'd be like, oh, man, Bengals guy, okay. Or if I saw a license plate that said, Bengals or, whatever. But, I don't know. If I'm sitting there downtown Chicago and a guy's going up Rush Street in this bad boy, I might say, either nice truck or weird truck. Yeah. Dan, I think what you're saying is it wasn't done that good. It should be more Bengals.
If you're really, all right, let me ask you, is it too red? Is that the Bengals color?
I think the guy got ripped off. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's too red. It's not orange enough. Faulty job on the wrap guy's part. So they got ripped off.
Yeah, those rappers are always, you can't trust those rappers. Next! Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. I love memes like this. It's a golf meme. We're almost done with the golf season. Dan, I was up in northern Michigan this week playing golf under beautiful foliage, slapping the ball around, leaving divots everywhere. This is what it's all about. The Tiger Woods routine. It's what he does on the driving range versus a guy like me, like you probably. What are we doing? We're not – Dan, how many balls do you even hit on the driving range?
Never. I only have so many swings in this back. I only have so many swings in my knees and my ass. I mean, no, none. I like this though. Hey, look. I mean, there's not that many swings that Tiger takes. 3 beers. I don't go with 3 beers before a round. I usually go, depending how my body's feeling, maybe a shot in a beer real quick, or nothing. The other day, Joe, I was even par through 7. My knee started hurting, so I took a little bottle of Jack Daniels that the cart girl had, and next thing you know, I went bogey, 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 and I was pissed off about it. So, yeah, I don't know.
You're going to have to get that looked
I'm not
at.
happy about it.
QC Kinetics is going to have to take care of that for you.
No, that knee's unbelievable. That knee's great. I'm going to have to go with him for the other knee. Now, that knee, QC Kinetics has done an awesome job. I mean, holy cow. Anyway. Yeah. Next, what do we got, a video? Do we got a video, Joe?
Look at that pour, Dan. I like that your producers brought this video out. This should get your viewers pumped up for the weekend. Look at those ribs. Pull the bone out. I saw guys complaining because they didn't even like to pull the bones out. They like to gnaw on them. This looks perfect to me. I don't want to gnaw on the bone. I want to just eat the meat and get done with it. Look at that. Look at that bone slide right out. Perfect. Take a bite and just keep on just crushing those ribs, Dan.
Man, that's pretty strong, Joe. You know what? Let me ask you. There are occasions I don't get like, I got to have this very often, but ribs are one thing that I got to have it. And about once, maybe twice a year, and always sober, I feel like I got to have White Castle. It's unbelievable. Ribs and White Castle are really the two things that I crave. It's unbelievable, Joe. What do you crave?
That caught me off guard with the White Castle. I think you're right with ribs. Like, I don't eat steak that much. Every now and then I'm like, give me a big, nice steak, prime rib. I'm not, I just don't eat that much. It's not like you're cooking it at home. A lot of these guys act like they are on their Traegers cooking all the time. I don't believe them. But, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it at a restaurant and let a pro do it. I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to be the guy that screws up the meat.
I don't either. Joe, you're the best. I appreciate you, Joe. Thanks, my friend.
See you, buddy.
That's the great Joe Kinsey. You can read every day Screencaps. You want to see beautiful women? You want to see great videos? You want to see smart conversation? There it is. Look, I do. I get a hankering once or twice a year for White Castle. I do. And if I'm driving somewhere and I go, you know what? I got to resist the urge. I do. I have to resist the urge. And the same thing with ribs. It's like my wife is telepathic. She's like, she knows when I need ribs. And I will tell you this, those of you that live in central Indiana and Ohio and the Midwest, I'm just telling you, Kroger has some of the best ribs you'll ever buy. Now, you got to cook them and you got to put whatever sauce you want on them. But the price for ribs at Kroger and the meat on the ribs at Kroger is fantastic. It's incredible. It is great. So next time you're thinking ribs and you got to go to some big meat market where you pay $1 zillion, do yourself a favor. Just stop by Kroger. Or if you shop at Kroger, and this isn't an ad for Kroger, I shop wherever the hell you want. But we got a Kroger right here, and I'm telling you, Lee will go in there, and next thing you know, she'll come home with 2 big slabs of ribs, put them in the freezer because, number one, they're really good ribs, and number two, they're always on sale. That's a true story. Hey, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to get into stock up and stock down right now, and it starts with the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Diamondbacks kind of backed into the playoffs. They had lost 4 straight going into the playoffs. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The Arizona Diamondbacks are alive and kicking. The Arizona Diamondbacks decided, you know what? I'll tell you what. We're going to play our best baseball right now. A lot of people talk about playing their best baseball. A lot of people say they're going to play their best baseball. But you know what has happened? The Arizona Diamondbacks, fantastic. They took out the Los Angeles Dodgers, but they did it in the coolest way possible. Lance Lynn on the mound. Lance is from right here, Brownsburg, Indiana. Home run, solo shot. He gave up. Home run, solo shot. He gave up. Third batter, home run, solo shot. He gave up. Fourth batter, home run. Oh, wait. Hold on. Foul ball. Next pitch, home run. 4 straight home runs. 4 straight. So the Diamondbacks beat the Brewers, and then they backed it up by beating the freaking Dodgers. And I got to tell you something else. Philadelphia fans, you guys rock. Philadelphia fans, you guys are awesome. Philadelphia fans, I got to tell you, I'm watching the game last night. What a blast. I mean, you fans in Philly made it fun for me in Indianapolis because of how jacked they were. And Nick Castellanos is one of the coolest dudes of all time. He made Matthew Weimer look like an idiot in a post-game deal where Wimmer, whatever the hell his name is supposed to ask him a question. He made a statement, and Castellanos said, was there a question there? I love it. Now, he's being a jackass, and we don't always support total jackassery, but we support it to a certain degree. So now you've got the NL Championship Series of the Arizona Diamondbacks against the Phillies. That's freaking awesome. I'm telling you, there's nothing better, in my little humble opinion, than watching a game, late innings. I don't watch the first few innings. Late innings with Philadelphia and its crowd. Absolutely dynamite. Hey, on Sunday, stock up. We're going to see. But it's Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. Zach Moss coming off 2 out of the last 3 games, over 120 yards, over 160 yards last time out. And Jonathan Taylor got him a big old contract. So I'm anxious to see what the Colts do here. Colts-Jags, pretty good game coming up. It's kind of going to decide a lot, particularly for the Colts. If the Colts lose the game, then they fall two games back. Only one game in the loss column, but the Jaguars would have beaten the Colts twice, so they would have the tie break, and the Colts would have to beat the Jags by 2 games in the standings. That's a tough task. Here's the deal, though. I'm looking forward to seeing whether Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor can play together. Remember, the Colts in years past have split out Jonathan Taylor. The Colts in years past have moved Jonathan Taylor to the slot. They've moved him around. Will they do it now? I would. Look, you're talking about a team in the Colts that is void of playmakers. They don't have a burner down the field. They just don't. Alec Pierce gets down the field, but he doesn't get separation, and he can't hang on to the ball through contact. That's a problem. Michael Pittman is the biggest, slowish, possession-type wide receiver. So, use Taylor, use Moss, stock up to both of them. But the key in this game, remember a couple weeks ago I told you that Trevor Lawrence was giving me gas? He looked very slow. His balls had a hump on them. He wasn't throwing darts. Last 2 weeks, for whatever the reason, last week because it was on at 9:30, I was watching the Jaguars and the Bills, and man, he moved much better. He threw it dynamite. I mean, the dude threw it on a freaking line. I mean, he looked like the Trevor Lawrence that was coming out of college when once again they said he has a chance to be the all-time best. I don't think the Colts win this game. I'm going to take the Jags on the money line, but stock up to these two guys. Stock up, Oregon and Washington. Oregon and Washington are leaving. They're coming to the Big Ten. Oregon and Washington are in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is much maligned, except on the field. Pac-12's been pretty good. I mean, let's be honest. Colorado, much better than expected. Arizona State, worse than expected. But Oregon and Washington have been right about where you expect them. Where do you expect them? In the hunt for a national championship. Why do you expect them in the hunt for a national championship? Well, they're both well-coached teams. They both have terrific talent all around the most important position, quarterback. Bo Nix has been in college since his dad was in college. I think his dad got done throwing passes for Auburn in the 80s, and Bo took over for his dad, Bo, in the 90s. I think it feels that way. Anyway, Bo Nix at quarterback for Oregon, and Michael Penix. Ladies and gentlemen, what could have been? Michael Penix, if you remember, was a skinny kid that committed to Tennessee, got out of that commitment. Tom Allen knew him. Tom Allen's the coach at Indiana. Tom Allen got Michael Penix Jr. to come to Indiana. Michael Penix Jr. was terrific when he was on the field. There's the iconic picture of Michael Penix reaching for the pylon called a two-point conversion. Indiana beats Penn State in the opener during the COVID rift 2020 season. Then they beat Michigan with who? Michael Penix. But Michael Penix was skinny back then, really skinny. Looked like you could break him in half. Well, he transferred. He's now playing for his former coordinator at Indiana. They're now at Washington. It's going to be a hell of a game. The over-under is like 70. I think they go over. I think it's 80. Michigan State fans, here's a little more for your alums. Now, let's think about it. When last we saw Mateen Cleaves, he was running around naked outside of a hotel trying to get a girl back in his room. Last we saw Keith Appling, he's doing basically life in prison for murder. Fast forward to Miles Bridges. When last we saw Miles Bridges, he was either dunking or making jump shots in the NBA. Never winning, but dunking or making jump shots. I famously said, and I stick by it, Miles Bridges had no game when he was in college. He could shoot a jump shot and he could dunk, but he didn't have any shake. Anyway, Michigan State fans are stupid enough, insecure enough, and just bottom feeder enough to think that I celebrate the problems that Miles Bridges has. Miles Bridges, once again, ladies and gentlemen, gets arrested. He got arrested a year ago, lost his chance at a mega free agent contract, lost his chance at NBA stardom, lost his chance at bazillions of dollars because he and his crazy-ass wife decided that two crazies are going to end up fighting. They're going to end up fighting. They're going to end up brawling. They're going to end up, and as a man, you never touch a woman, ever. I've told you this before. A woman's mad at you. She wants to get physical. You put your hands in your pockets. You go in your bathroom, and you lock the door. Period. So he loses a year. He loses a year after pleading no contest to felony domestic violence. He was sentenced to 3 years probation, no jail time, as part of the deal with prosecutors after being accused of assaulting his then-girlfriend in front of their two children. The no contest plea meant Bridges accepted the conviction and punishment without admitting guilt. He was ordered to obey the terms of a 10-year protective order. 10 years, this idiot got as a protective order, staying 100 yards away from and having no contact with the woman in the case. He was required 52 weeks of domestic violence, 52 weeks of parenting classes, 100 hours of community service, weekly narcotics testing. There you go. So in April, the NBA had initiated a 30-day suspension, 30 games. He had already done 20. So he had signed a 1-year, $7.9 qualifying offer to return to the Hornets. All right. He apologized to everyone in July. Well, guess what? Now, October 6th, in Charlotte, this is what Bridges is accused of doing. He's accused of throwing billiard balls at his former girlfriend while the children were in the car, smashing the windshield, leaving dents in the car, according to the summons. He's accused in the summons of threatening her that if she told the police, he would take everything from her and withhold child support. Then he allowed his current girlfriend to yell, scream, and kick, and he allowed his current girlfriend to yell, scream, and kick the victim's car while the children were in it. So he's got his side piece over here, and she's going crazy too. All right. Miles Bridges is a mess. I don't celebrate it. I just report. Hey, the LA Dodgers, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look, you got to have to figure out your Clayton Kershaw problem. Clayton Kershaw, historically weak in the postseason, was historically weak this postseason. Couldn't get out of the first inning. Hit after hit after hit. Next thing you know, he gone, and so are the Dodgers. The Dodgers' massive payroll. Trey Turner, who used to play for the Dodgers, banged out a couple home runs, or maybe Trey Turner played for the Washington Nationals. I can't remember. But Trey Turner was pretty good. There's no Justin Turner anymore, the guy that looked like a White Walker who played third base. He gone. Seemed like all the really good players are gone that used to help the Dodgers win. Cody Bellinger's with the Cubs, although he fell off. But the Dodgers got what the Dodgers got because their high-priced guys, particularly Clayton Kershaw, could not get her done. And let's be honest, in Major League Baseball, in the playoffs, your pitcher, starter, middle reliever in particular, and closer, you got to get her done. Frank Reich, stock down until you get a win. 0-5 is no way to go through life. Somebody asked me yesterday, what's a Mensa? A Mensa is a group of really smart people, people whose IQs are off the chain. Well, Frank Reich, he and his off the chain, Mensa brain, can't seem to figure out football. He was a god-awful coach here in Indianapolis. He was a god-awful coach in Carolina. Seems like a great husband, a great father, a fantastic grandfather. Had a great NFL career as a backup. Maybe the preeminent backup. Gardner Minshew before Gardner Minshew. He led the biggest comeback in the history of the NFL, backing up Jim Kelly. Well, guess what? That record was broken when Frank Reich, got fired, and Jeff Saturday came in with a 33-0 lead over the Vikings, and they blew it. Now, Frank Reich was given the keys to the Carolina Panthers. He was given the first pick in the draft, Bryce Young. He also has given the good people of Charlotte a headache. All right, when we come back, Tyreek Hill in the news again. Live golfers in the news again. I got to tell you, the house bet is 5-0. The other bets were 4-1 last week. I'm going to give you my bets as well when we come back. Where are you going? Stay right here and tell your friends.
In the wake of the Trevor Bauer bombshell, outing his accuser as a disgusting liar, I made the call to end the Me Too movement. And today I'm going to continue making that case. What was once born as a push to protect real victims has, in many cases, just like we saw with Bauer, turned into an awful manipulation tactic by immoral women to strip men of their power. And we, as a society, continue to just let it happen. Time and time again, it seems. Such also, as we have seen in the past, the cases of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who was on the brink of not being confirmed after being accused of sexual assault stemming from his college years. There was the 3 members of the Duke lacrosse team who were accused of raping a stripper at a party, and former Bills punter Matt Araiza, who was accused of gang rape. These are just 3 examples, all of which were proved to be untrue accusations. Men have been put through absolute torture. They have had massive opportunities stolen from them. Their lives, livelihoods, and reputations devastated solely because they were Me Too'd. Meaning a woman made a claim and it was accepted as a fact, even though in all of these cases, it was nothing but a lie. The believe all women era, no matter what, must end right now. Even Matt Araiza, who was still out of a job in the NFL, realizes the threat of it. Here's what he said after being released from the Bills following his untrue accusations.
It's just the climate of how things are now. Accusations bring so much hate to anyone who decides to stand by the accuser that they were kind of forced to cut me from the team.
Now, don't get me wrong. If you are a true victim, I implore you to find the courage to come forward under any and all circumstances. However, if the behavior with the accused man was consensual, let's say, if there is an ulterior motive, maybe a money grab, a play for attention, then please spare us.
Hey, welcome back. Hey, shut up, if you would, everybody nationally, about Pat McAfee paying Aaron Rodgers. He should pay Aaron Rodgers. Why wouldn't he pay Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers really helped Pat's show grow into what it is today. An incredibly popular show on all mediums. He did. I got a text from McAfee today because the most absurd thing that I saw yesterday on the internet is Indianapolis Star columnist Greg Doyle once again being a hypocrite. Doyle commented, "This is actually embarrassing. Paid interviews are absurd. They happen, they're absurd." Well, guess what? Doyle's a hypocrite. Again, Doyle came to me, and I got the receipts, saying, "Hey, I only want to come on if they'll pay me. Why won't they pay me?" So I said, "You know what? I'll try to get you paid. I will." Doyle and I were friends. So I went to Emmis and said, "Hey, look, can we pay Doyle to come on shows?" I figured I was helping a friend. They laughed. They should have laughed. Doyle doesn't add anything. I mean, he doesn't. But I was trying to help a friend. So the fact that Doyle would say, "Hey, look, this is absurd, this is embarrassing," shows you once again what a hypocrite people at the Indianapolis Star, and in particular Greg Doyle, is. He begged to get paid. He would only come on if he got paid. Now, you'll probably see today or Monday, Doyle will come on the local station because he'll try to camouflage his hypocrisy. His hypocrisy is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Honest to God. It goes against the stuff they protest. It goes against everything. Well, let me back up. I get tired of hypocrites. Like, you can say I'm a hypocrite, and that's just you saying it. Like, people get mad, but here's Doyle, who legitimately begged to get paid to come on and do interviews. Legit begged. All of a sudden, he's saying it's embarrassing? I'm just telling you. I don't get personal with these people. I just tell you how they are. They're full of shit. They're awful human beings. They're rotten, lying hypocrites. He and Dana Hunsaker Bembo. That's who they are. And they do it every single day. And it is not just them. I mean, are you crazy? The Washington Post is laying off a ton of people. Why? Because many, like that Lorenz lady that writes for the Washington Post, have been incredible hypocrites. They whine, bitch, and moan when somebody comes at them, but they try to ruin the lives of the owners of Libs of TikTok. They're just hypocrites. In every area of life, they are hypocrites. And Doyle could not be more hypocritical. Good for Aaron Rodgers making millions. Good for Pat McAfee making millions and sharing the sugar. It's what you should do. And listen, Awful Announcing wrote an article on this same thing. And they wrote an article saying that Pat McAfee's show isn't doing very well and went all clownish. But if you read the article, you can tell what it's about. Awful Announcing, headed by Little Benny Koo, I don't even know. I guess he made money in Silicon Valley. So Little Benny Koo and his minions at Awful Announcing don't like the fact that Aaron Rodgers has such a platform to spew, in their mind, anti-vax rhetoric. No, he's just giving his opinion. There's 340 million people in this country. Some are going to have differences of opinion. I'm just saying. But little left-leaning Benny Koo and his little left-leaning Awful Announcing, they can't help but take shots. Look, if you're taking shots at Pat McAfee's popularity, then you're a jackass. Pat McAfee did exactly what he should do. You got a guest, that guest is making you millions, you want to share the millions, God bless you. It's the American freaking way. This is weird to me. So Tyreek Hill, the wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, listen to this. He was fined $7,000 for not wearing socks during a game. Not because it violated the rule of the jersey, the uniform, that kind of thing, but because it created a competitive advantage. Now, when I was a kid and you were a kid, did you ever run in the grass barefoot? You felt fast as hell, didn't you? Like, I don't think you were any faster running barefoot in the grass than you were in your shoes. But running barefoot, we always felt like we could fly. You just felt fast. I don't think this is the same thing. I'm not so sure this is the exact same thing. But it does seem to be a little bit weird that this would be called a competitive advantage. You know what I'm saying? How? I looked for how, and I haven't been able to see how. When I got this morning and I saw what this was, I thought to myself, how is this a competitive advantage? What makes this a competitive advantage? And I haven't been able to see anywhere where this is a competitive advantage, but maybe it's because you don't have socks. I don't know. Braves announcers were not fans of Bryce Harper's throat slash celebration following his 2 home runs in the NLCS. Braves announcers were a little bit pissed. Braves announcers didn't like it. Braves announcers can kiss my ass. Let's be honest. You have to be a homer to be an announcer in Major League Baseball, right? That's one of the reasons that you become the announcer. You're really good at the balancing act. It's one of the reasons that I always like Jason Benetti, because Jason Benetti isn't really a homer. Jason Benetti is going to tell you exactly what the deal is. But Braves announcers aren't that way. They didn't like the throat slash. Am I here to tell you that the throat slash is a great move? Probably not. But hey, what can I tell you? That's the way it is. Joe Simpson, old-time announcer, Ben Ingram, guy I don't know, criticized Harper for his throat-slashing celebration. and took umbrage with the outrage surrounding Arcia's, that guy who he throat slashed, attaboy Harper comment. Harper again gave the throat slashing sign, said Simpson, which given today's climate around the world, I'm not sure that's quite what anybody wants to see. Yeah, I get that you would say that. I would get that that's something that you might say. And I'm getting it when he crossed the plate, I'm guessing the game was over. Simpson said because Harper just gave the throat slashing sign as he stepped on home plate. Well, it was 7-1. I don't know. Look, you got to do for your team what you got to do. And maybe he's right. In fact, last night I put out something about 2 bombs in 1 inning or something. And I thought to myself, we're a little sensitive in this world right now, and rightfully so, about what's going on. Maybe the word bombs wasn't the right thing. So I get what the announcers are doing, but I also get, hey, look, ball players that can stick it to another ball player in whatever the sport are going to stick it. Mike Greenberg is a friend of mine. I like Greeny. When he had his heart episode, I sent him a text, getting old is not for blankies. But Greeny, as you know, is he's a maniacal, and I mean maniacal Jets fan. He thinks the Jets are going to go to the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers is going to return for Week 13. I'm telling you right now, if the Jets keep it to 500 by week 12, Aaron Rodgers is coming back. He's coming back. And he's going to do exactly what Brady did. They were 500 with like 3 or 4 games left in the season. Talking about Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. Okay. His first season in Tampa. They caught fire. He got fire. And next thing you know, they win the Super Bowl. And Aaron can do it. Now, here's where the Jets stand. They're 2-3. It's not like they're out of it. I mean, let's be totally honest. 2-3, and they won 1. They beat the Denver Broncos. Here's what they've got. They've got Sunday against Philadelphia. Then they go and play at home against the Giants, although it's a Giants road game. Then they've got the Chargers coming in. Then they go on a 2-game swing. Vegas and Buffalo. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, the easiest part of the season comes at the end of the season. Now, if you're going to believe that C.J. Stroud's really good, you got Week 14 Houston, 15 at Miami. They'll lose that. 16 Washington at home. 17 and 18. 17 at Cleveland. 18 at New England. Yeah, I like Greeny. I think Greeny is rooting. I think Greeny is happy that they're 2-3. He's ecstatic that they won the other day. But I'm not ready to go where Greeny's ready to go and to say they're going to be in the playoffs and to say they are going to make a damn run. I'm looking at it. I just don't see it. Maybe you do. And if you do, God bless you. Good for you. But I just don't see it. Hey, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is mad about the 10 p.m. East Coast kickoff time. Now, on the West Coast, that's 8. Who makes these 8 o'clock games? Well, TV. How do you think you're getting paid? TV. Your game is Friday night at 8 o'clock. Perfect time for college kids. Gives them something to do before the party bell rings around 10:30, 11 o'clock. These are the dumbest things ever. Stupidest thing ever invented in life. Wow. I mean, never mind. I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Who wants to stay up until 8 o'clock for a darn game? Huh? What about the East Coast? They even care about ratings or anyone watching it? 10 o'clock's prime time in the East Coast, baby. 10 o'clock is 1 hour before the end of prime time, which is 11 o'clock. Yeah, they care about ratings. That's why your ass is on in prime time on the East Coast. Yeah, they care about ratings. That's the only reason your ass is on. Your team's 3-2. Nice team, Nothing interesting other than you and your son and the promotion. 8 o'clock. Who wants to stay up till 8 o'clock on a Friday night in Boulder, Colorado? That to me is perfect. I think Uwe Blop, the great Uwe, used to say, party bell don't ring till 10 o'clock, boys. Like, all right, okay. What are we supposed to do with the kids all day until 8? Well, they can go to class. I mean, there's class on Friday. Then you got, a walkthrough. Then pregame meal. You get to the stadium around 6. I don't know. What are you supposed to do in a hotel? What are you supposed to do all day? I don't know. What do you do on Saturday? 10 o'clock game. I don't know. I mean, damn. The first world problems. I don't understand. The first world problems are being established here, and I got to tell you. All right. Okay. Hey, file this under more ridiculousness from the NBA. Load management, right? Nobody really wants to play in the NBA. What the NBA wants to do and what the players want to do is they want to get paid but not play. That's what they want to do. They want to get paid. Hey, give us $60 million, but we really don't want to play. That's where it's going. So the NBA is pushing an 82-game mindset on its players. Well, there's 82 games in the NBA. This is amazing to me. This is amazing that this has to be pushed. I mean, it's not like NBA players are splitting the atom. It's not like NBA players are doing anything other than smoking weed, playing video games, and working out. I mean, what are you guys actually about? I mean, seriously, what are you really about as an NBA player other than, playing in 82 out of 365 days, playing 82 of them. Oh, but they're shoot-arounds. Oh, my God, can you imagine? Can you imagine you get home late and you got to be at a shoot-around the next day? Oh, my God. It's a joke. And the bigger joke is NBA fans defend it. I always say this. My uncle, Jerry, steel mill, 40-plus years. My dad, public school teacher, 49 years. My mom, public school teacher, 51 years. My uncle, cop, judge, prosecutor. My other cousin, cop, DEA, FBI. If I said to them, oh man, I'm going to get paid $60 million like some guy named Jaylen Brown is, and I got to play 82 games a year. Well, you don't understand, man. They got to practice, man. Yeah, you're right. Look, an NBA practice on a day they don't have a game is over by noon. The rest of the day is spent smoking weed, playing video games, and getting on social media and telling everybody how oppressed they are. I mean, let's be honest. It's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. You should play 82 games because that's your job. It's your job to play 82 games. You don't have to play year-round. Just stop it. Stupid. It's amazing to me. It really and truly is. Al Horford, and this is awesome. I love this stuff. Al Horford is talking about how Brad Stevens is completely different on the general manager side. You think, Al? Coaching you clowns is ridiculous. There's nothing worse than having to show up every day and coach a bunch of entitled knuckleheads. It is. There isn't. A lot of guys like it. My shelf life was about 6 or 7 years. I didn't like it my last few years. I didn't like the players. They didn't like me. It was a perfect marriage. But anyway, Al Horford is saying as a coach, he has certain strategies, certain feels. He went about it different ways. But here's a GM. I feel like he sees things 2 or 3 ahead of everyone else. It seems like we're looking at something, but he's looking farther down the road. Oh, my God, what an epiphany. I call it looking beyond your nose. Actually, I call it looking beyond your pee-pee, but I don't want to say that on TV. Looking beyond your nose is what every general manager does. Looking beyond your nose is what every coach does. It should be what every player does, but that's not the player mentality. The player mentality is trying to figure out, hey, man, how can I get out of doing games? Hey, man, how can I get out? Hey, kudos to the president of the University of Florida. University of Florida president, former U.S. Senator Ben Sasse, perfectly stated his support of Jewish students at the college and denounced Hamas defenders in a statement released Wednesday. Here's part of what he had to say. Sadly, too many people in elite academia have been so weakened by their moral confusion that when they see videos of raped women, hear of beheaded babies, or learn of a grandmother murdered in her house, the first reaction of some is to provide context and try to blame the raped women, beheaded baby, or the murdered grandma. In other grotesque cases, they express simple support for the terrorists. The thinking isn't just wrong, it's sickening. Yes. It's dehumanizing. It's beneath people called to educate our next generation of America. You damn right. Our educational mission begins with the recognition and explicit acknowledgement of human dignity. The same human dignity that Hamas terrorists openly scorn. We will protect our Jewish students from violence. If anti-Israel protests come, we will absolutely be ready to act if anyone dares escalate beyond peaceful protest. God bless you. Common sense. How about Black Lives Matter here in Indianapolis supporting a Hamas rally? Supporting a Hamas rally saying, kill the Jews, kill America. That's Black Lives Matter, the most corrupt organization. But the NFL and other organizations tell us that we are racist if we don't bend the knee to these jackasses. Don't bend the knee to none of them. Get rid of the Black Lives Matter organization and get rid of it now. They're a terrorist organization that promotes the destruction of America, and they want race war at every turn. Get rid of them immediately. Don't fund them. Expel them immediately. That's my take. If you don't like it, I don't give a rat's ass. All right, here is the last thing of the week, and you know it's going to make you money. So do yourself a favor. Go to PointsBet. Download the app. Get on PointsBet.com right now, and you will get $1,000 in second chance betting. That's right, $1,000 in second chance wagering. That means if you lose, PointsBet will give you $1,000, not at once. You lose 10, they'll fill your account with 10, up to $1,000. All you got to do is visit OutKick.com/bet. I got 2 bets for you. Both are going to win you money. If any of you have paid attention over the last 5-6 weeks, you know that our house bet is 5-0. We missed 1 week because I didn't have one. I'm not betting just to bet. This is my ride with Dan bet. Just ride with me on this. Rutgers -5 over Michigan State. Now, this game started out as a nondescript game. I'm always betting against Michigan State because Michigan State, first, never has any heart. Second, they have a complete mess. And then I heard the interim coach talk, and I swear to God, I thought I was listening to a child. I understand you had to hire an African American as the interim head coach to appease the players. Why? I don't know. But I do understand the current climate that we're in. But to add to this, the media in and around Michigan State, which is America's most in-pocket media, hell, they were around for years when Larry Nassar was doing his thing, and none of them ever either weren't any good or and didn't know, or they knew and they were complicit by their silence. I don't know which one, but the Larry Nassar story was broken by 3 people at the Indianapolis Star, back when the Indianapolis Star had 3 people worthy of breaking news. Anyway, so the media has come out and said things like, well, no one better on your schedule than Rutgers. Stuff of that nature. Michigan State media should not talk about anybody. Michigan State media should shut up, hide out, and hope nobody other than me exposes them for being the frauds that they are, particularly in the Nassar case, and of course, the case involving Mel Tucker. Well, guess what? That wasn't broken by a Michigan State media either. So I'm going to take Rutgers. I'm going to give the 5. I think this is a double-digit win for Rutgers. Rutgers, whether you Tennessee folks and our boss Clay Travis wants to admit it or not, has a terrific coach. Greg Schiano's a good football coach. When I talk to football coaches like Urban Meyer, they think Greg Schiano, really good football coach. So I'm taking Rutgers. The house bet, ladies and gentlemen, bump-a-da-bump, bump-a-da-bump-a-bump, bump-a-da-bump. You say that the house bet is due to water finding its level. I say no. I say too much research has gone into this. Too much research has gone into me making the house bet. Let me give you the house bet, and then I'm going to tell you why. It's North Carolina, 5-0, at home, giving 3 to Miami. Now, you're going to say to me, Dan, Miami's 4-1. Dan, Miami had Georgia Tech beat the other day. The coach screwed it up. Yes. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why I am betting the house on North Carolina. Because, yes, Mario Cristobal did screw up the game against Georgia Tech. Yes, Mario Cristobal should have taken a knee. Yes, he admitted blame. Yes, the offensive coordinator admitted blame. That don't matter to the players. Players are the one working out at 7 in the morning in the summer. Players are the one organizing to play 7-on-7 and do a bunch of other stuff in the afternoon. Players know the stupidity of the coach. And the players, while they say and act and will act that they are right, aren't right. It's going to take a couple weeks. I look at North Carolina, who, by the way, in their last 3 games, let's just go their last 3 games, beat the crap out of Minnesota, 31-13, beat the crap out of Pitt, 41-24, and then beat the living you-know-what out of Syracuse, 40-7. Bet this like it's your job. Bet this and you maybe won't have to go and work a job. Bet this, and as the great George Jefferson and the Jefferson song says, you'll be moving on up to the east side in a deluxe apartment in the sky high. There, ladies and gentlemen, is your house bet. Your toes will be tapping. Boom. In fact, I'm so confident after listening to me on this house bet that I am going to, you know what? I am going to my DraftKings, my points bet, and I am laying more money. Bingo. Bingo. Hey, thanks to everybody. What a fantastic week that we have had on this show. All of my friends that are on the YouTube chat, I got to say a big thank you to them as well. You guys show up every damn day. You do. You show up every day. You make it fun for me. I'm not always on it, but I watch it. I got OutKick, JPG Rules, Deuce Parker, The Outer Creek, Lick, Jarno, Arnold Jr., Timothy Howe, Ridger 1970, Who's Your Daddy? Of course, Gritty has been on here. Van Pasterman has been on here. All the greats. Colin Burrows has been on here. Sean Black has been on here. The world is a better place because of my friends on the YouTube chat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron, thank you so much. Gary, you the boss. Clay, thanks for letting us do this. Nick 1 and Nick 2, awesome work. Thank you for caring so much about the show. Ryan and Dylan, I hope you have a better weekend because your Braves suck, and they are gone. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, everybody. DAKICHOUT.